Yeah, I'm always recording.
You're always recording? Record everything.
Always.
Odie.
I do.
Odie
I
Matthews.
record everything.
Is
film
that your
everything.
production company's slogan? Always recording.
Film everything.
Film
regret nothing.
Everything.
Yeah, film everything, regret nothing. That's our slogan.
Film everything makes me think of way back in the day. Chad Jones and I used to do these. We called them Chad Jones liquor reviews, and it was just an excuse for him to get hammered, and then sometimes I would get hammered. And there was one time we were trying to review packets of vodka, and we got way too drunk, and the video just fell apart. So it's just a bunch of clips of us like being too drunk trying to do a video, and at one point it cuts, and it's just like the camera looking up at him because I'm very obviously sitting on the ground now, and he's just going, film everything.
Film it all.
And you hear me in the background, film everything. And he's like, film everything. And I'm like, film everything. And then he goes, are you filming? It was such a...
That sounds familiar, actually.
It's such a hot mess, and then later, like, it just hard cuts to him like spraying a bunch of Axe deodorant on my crotch, and I'm like giggling like an idiot, and he's just continuing to spray, and I'm just going.
Just the idea that you're laughing because he's spraying it, but you keep coughing because you're laughing when you breathe.
Yes. I'll send it to you. I can't it still exists. It's the reason I definitely can't run for office. Somebody would just play that and people would be like, I can't vote for that guy.
No.
I can't vote for that guy. Are you voting for the Axe body spray on crotch guy? No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
All right, you ready to clap?
I'm ready to clap.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Every time. Nailed it. Welcome back to another episode of the Unpop Podcast. I'm your captain, Capitan Kevin Minor. All the time, he, him. With me, as always, is...
Odie Matthews.
That's right. Perfect. Welcome back to another episode. We're jumping right into it. Odie,
Hello.
you just got back from Las Vegas. With the Cannabanananabanabiz.
The Cannabanananabanabiz.
the Can-Am Cannabanabananabiz.
The Cannabanananabanabiz.
I just sound like I'm doing a bad impression of Eminem. All right.
The Cannabananabanabiz.
All right. So what was that convention all about?
So the company I work for, Bonanza Cannabis, we went to Las Vegas for MJ BizCon, which is basically just like a cannabis convention.
Yep.
Where there's a bunch of events held in hotel rooms across the strip where it's like they're called something night. So like Nevada night, New Mexico night, Arizona night, Colorado night. And it's all basically if you're from that state or if you want to make connections in that state to get your product across state lines, then you can go to these events and network. So that was really boring for me as the director of social media because I know a lot about our company, but I don't know jack shit about how any of this stuff works because it's not anything I would need to know as a social media director.
You don't know about the inner industry functions.
No, I don't know about securing they were talking to somebody about securing land permits to then get a contractor to get a quote on a kitchen to make gummies, and I was just like, none of this makes any sense. Do you want me to film you? Like, I can film you right now. Do you want a picture? I'll post it. You want a picture for the gram?
But film everything.
Yeah, film everything, which I pretty much did. But those were only little pieces, and then only like the top dog owners went to like the full blown convention.
Yeah.
Most of what I did in Vegas, for anyone that's interested, is I got to film all 8 of us in teams of 2, do a challenge video on the Las Vegas Strip. So I spent about 5 hours running around filming other teams, and then I got to compete while somebody filmed me and my partner, which was super fun. Had a great time. And then after that, we went to the Stratosphere, which I already talked to you about, which is the tourist trap adrenaline ride thing where it's basic.
When you told me about that, I was like, all right, this is either going to be super awesome or super lame. And from my like personal opinion, you know, other people can do it and form their own opinion, but like I was watching the video of people going off of that, and I'm like, this is super lame.
So
like it's very controlled.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not like the thrill experience that you like. And by thrill experience, once again, subjective. I feel like a lot of people would probably still do that and be like, that's the wildest thing I've ever done, you know? But like, I look at that and I'm like, there's too much control. There's too much, like, there's not enough variables in play for me to get an adrenaline rush off of that thing, right?
Funny enough, me and the 2 other guys that were there did not do it. And 5 people ended up doing it. And the people that didn't do it, where one of the guys is a pilot who skydives by himself. The other guy has skydived by himself and bungee jumps. I personally, you know, I've rappelled. I've done some stuff out of helicopters and like I rock climb and stuff. And so like I was like, oh, like if I get to do it, cool, right? Like why not? Like it looks like it would be, you know, I mean, at least it could be fun. But if I don't get to do it, like I'm not going to sit here and complain because to me, like, it looks just like an amusement park ride at the end of the day.
Yeah.
To me. But the people that did it, I have the video and it'll be going up on our YouTube channel. They legitimately were like a little like, oh, this is a lot for me because I've never done anything remotely close to this. So like if you've never done anything with heights or like falling or jumping or like climbing or anything, then like I could see where this might appeal to you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was. But it looked like they had a good time, which is all that mattered. And then I went out. I got treated to some incredible dinners. I got to go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. Left there with a sign.
One of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants, yes.
I say Gordon Ramsay restaurant because it's Gordon Ramsay's steak in the Las Vegas Paris district.
Las Vegas, yes.
But this is the most like popular, the most highly reviewed, because the other ones in Las Vegas are like the Gordon Ramsay burger, the Gordon Ramsay like fish and chips, and they're like little, like they're not like full blown restaurants. Like this.
It's not the experience that you would expect to get if you were to watch like Hell's Kitchen.
Exactly. This is Gordon Ramsay steak is like the closest you're gonna get before you start getting to like his like these are, you know, $500 plate restaurants, you know, like in the UK and like California, New York.
I'd go to one of those. I'm not gonna lie. Like I straight up would for the experience.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying like I'm the type of person, if I had enough disposable income, that's what I would eat for sure.
Absolutely.
But although at that point and at that price, like I think if you just averaged it out, like it would actually be better to just get a private chef. Anyway,
well, I mean, I'll say this: I'm not one that has gone to a lot of fancy dinners.
Yeah.
But that Gordon Ramsay restaurant, the whole spoiled event that we got because one of the investors took 3 of us out while 4 others went to like this exclusive VIP dinner. And we were like, we're going to do our own VIP dinner. So we went to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant. And as an experience as a whole, so this was one of the best dining experiences I think I've ever had, if not the best. And the reason why is, one, our waiter, which you've already seen a clip of on my Instagram.
Yes.
Insane. He was just so nice, so wonderful, like just on top of his shit, like just really felt like he wanted to be there. In the little clip that I have of him, he's been in the service industry for like over 2 decades, and like it's not like a job, it's like a passion of his to just
that's his career.
Yeah, it's his career, and he loves it. So there was the waiter. Look, the food was incredible. I mean, we had so much food, from bread to seafood towers to
hell yeah.
I had lobster scallops, beef Wellington, like mashed potatoes. We had like a toffee cake at the end, like all kinds of stuff. And then it was just like the atmosphere and the people I was with. I had some incredible conversations with 3 people, a part of my company that like they're kind of higher, like an investor, one's the accountant, and one I work with on a daily basis. So like getting to know 2 of them for the first time really well, and then also get closer to another director that I work really closely with when I do marketing was really fun. It was just, you know, like that whole experience as a whole was just like, I'm in Vegas, like I'm getting treated to one of the nicest dinners of my life. Like I'm getting to be around good people. Like it was just, it felt like I was like I told you in the text, I felt like I was the main character in a movie, and that was my scene. You know, that was the big moment or whatever. But and then the next night I had on the owner's bequest a 50-ounce tomahawk steak that was Australian Wagyu. And let me tell you, there was no leftovers by the time I was on the airplane. I ate the rest of that bitch in the airport, in the hotel and the airport.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel a little bit spoiled in that, like, my brother does that kind of quality of food, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm very lucky that, like, point. You know, some people are like, oh, yeah, I went to this really nice restaurant. And, like, in my family now, because of, like, the work that people have done in various restaurants around our capital region, like, we're like, oh, yeah, I have an experience that's kind of like that. Yeah. And my brother he makes these gigantic tomahawk steaks.
I've never had one. Yeah. I got a clip of me.
Oh, so good.
Eating some of the meat.
Was
off
it dry
the bone.
aged?
Yeah.
Was it dry aged?
It was Australian Wagyu, and then
all you have to do is you put like a little bit of olive oil on it, a little bit of butter, salt, pepper, done.
They had all kinds of sauces, and it was served with like a street corn dish. But I passed the bone around, and everybody that wanted to got to take like a little bite off of it. I got a video of that I'm going to probably post of me taking a bite off of it. And you can see the look on my face because the meat off the bone, like that was cut, was just so tender and juicy. And like the sauces that were there, like there was like a butter sauce, a barbecue sauce, and then like an olive oil sauce for it. And, but when they were like, oh, you got to eat it off the bone, because like I guess I didn't really think about like, because we're in this super nice restaurant at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. I wasn't about to pick up a fucking bone and be like, nah. But like, you know, so they were like, oh, you got to do that. And you can see the moment when the difference in flavor hits my face, because I'm very much like what? And yeah, it was just
good.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, there's so many stories. I went to a drag brunch while I was there, which was incredible. I got to go gambling. I met some really cool people at the Palazzo bar at 1 a.m. These 2 gentlemen, I believe one, his name was Francis, and the other one I can't remember. They were from Sweden, and then there was 2 ladies with them that were from, I want to say, New York, and talking to them
Odie.
about Amazon and everything. So
Odie, you innocent soul. Those ladies were not from New York. you innocent soul. You met 2 dudes and 2 ladies at a bar in Vegas at 1 a.m. Those ladies were not from New York.
No, they were
from New York originally.
Yeah, okay. No, they were all there for the Amazon conference. I'm gonna blow past this, but
okay, that's fine.
No, they were.
You don't have to. I mean, that's just how things. Like, I'm saying that as someone who's been to Vegas. Like,
I know what you mean, and
like,
I do have a story for off the pod about that exact thing that I want to tell you. Off the pod,
right, cool.
But these 4 people were legitimate. Like, they trust me. Like, they had badges and lanyards on from the convention.
Okay.
Like, they were. Come on,
Odie,
come on, son.
Those weren't real lanyards.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Anyways, no, but like talking to them. Okay, well, if these really were the people you're talking about, then damn, they know a lot about Amazon. I'll tell you that.
Hell
like, holy shit, they know the ins and outs.
That's cool that they were having an Amazon conference.
And then one of my favorite probably stories from this trip, besides the Gordon Ramsay restaurant, is during the challenge video. One of the challenges, right, was buy a stranger a beer and then race them in a chugging contest. But here's the thing about this whole challenge video, and I'm just going to say this right now. The people who put it together, unfortunately, we didn't have a ton of time. It was kind of like a last-minute idea, so we didn't get to flush out the rules as much. So all teams exploited the loopholes in the phrasing of the challenges, right? So
that's dumb.
No, but it actually made for some pretty good content because everybody approached it very differently. And here was my strategy. And I think out of all the people that did it, I think mine was the smoothest because a lot of people got rejected because everybody else went to guys in bars and was like, hey, man, let me buy you a drink and then we'll chug it together. And the guys were like, no, fuck, like, no, get away from me, right? Like, it's Vegas. So I approached 2 older ladies and 2 older guys that were in a bar. It was about 1 p.m. And I walked up to him and I was like, hey, ladies, hey, guys. I was like, I hope I'm not interrupting. I was like, my name is Odie. I work for, and, the camera person's there and my partner, Sarah. And then actually, funny enough, 2 of the people from our group were sitting next to these people at the bar.
Okay.
And so I was like, I'm here for this convention. I'm just trying to do an act of kindness, hoping people will pass it forward. I would love to buy you guys a beer. And they were like, really? And I was like, well, there's kind of a little bit of a stipulation here. I was like, we're technically racing as we drink these together, but we can go at our own pace, and I encourage you, if not employ you, to not win, because that was another part of the challenge. You had to win the beer chug. And this old guy is just laughing. This old lady is like, I don't understand, but yeah, like if you're going to buy us a beer. And I was like, get him around. And I was like, and then let's get him an extra round for after we're done. And so I just started talking to these people, and we get our beers, and we're just drinking them very casually. And I'm like, we're chugging right now, and just talking to them. Well, we finish, and I was like, hey, guys, like, just let you know now that we're done. I was like, this is for, a challenge video. I'm the social media director, blah, 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 blah. Gave them a hug. They took a picture with us. We went on to the next challenge. Turns out the 2 individuals from our group that were sitting next to him started talking to him. And apparently that whole interaction, that was their last day on the trip. But that whole interaction, made their day. They were like, that was one of the funniest. What an experience. We never thought we would get to be a part of a YouTube video. They just loved every moment of it.
That's so funny.
And I was just like, hearing that made me so happy. Because literally somebody in the group went up to somebody and was like, can I buy you a beer? And they were like, no. And they're like, I'm going to buy you a beer. And just was like, I'm going to do this for you.
I'm going to buy you a beer.
Everybody had different strategies.
You have no choice. This beer is going to be in front of you, whether you like it or not.
But it was.
Wow.
It was an awesome trip and a lot of awesome moments. And I felt very privileged for 3 days, but now I'm back to reality, eating Pop-Tarts for breakfast. So,
Well, and so so people who know you can find that stuff on the Bonanza Canna Instagram.
So
on their YouTube.
They'll be so it'll be up on the Bonanza Cannabis YouTube. A little bit on their Instagram, but mainly if you want to see my side of the trip, I started this week a TikTok about what it's like to be the social media director for a cannabis company. So I documented some of my kind of behind the scenes and some of the shenanigans that I got up to. I went on some adventures by myself to the Bellagio fountain. I went did the Palazzo by myself. So I did some stuff, and so if you want to see the trip, I'll also have some stuff up on my socials and whatnot. But it was great.
You're saying Palazzo. Are you saying? Do you mean the Via Palazzo?
Yeah, that one. The Palazzo.
Oh, okay. I was like, you keep saying you've said Palazzo to me a couple times, and I think
Palazzo.
He's just combining the 2 things.
Palazzo.
Okay.
My bad.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Vegas. Whatever.
I just wanted to make sure, because when you say Palazzo, I'm like, maybe there's a place called Palazzo. I'm not 100%. I haven't been there in a long time.
But here's what I'm thinking.
Who knows?
Kevin, right. So this has made me think about something that you and I are planning to do here pretty soon, which is take 10 or more.
10.
Maybe.
10.
10 seems good. 10 seems good.
I could do more, but 10's fine.
10 consecutive back-to-back spirit flights. Now,
yes.
I think, as opposed to my last trip where I took 8 frontier flights and then I just went straight home, I think we should reward ourselves at the end of this trip. And
so what's our final destination?
So originally I pitched to you that we should go see a concert. We should end somewhere and go see a concert that we like. But I think you and I should have a night in Vegas together, because holy shit, I think you and I can have some fun.
I mean, okay, that's an interesting thing. You're bringing this up to a dude who Vegas is still, they're not anti-weed anymore, right?
No, I don't gamble.
Okay, because THC was the only illegal thing in Vegas the last time I was there, right? That's how long ago it was. But that's not illegal in Vegas anymore, right?
Nope, that's why they had a cannabis convention.
Okay, great. So I'm better with that, right? Because as someone who's I'm just very outspoken, sober. When someone says Vegas, all I think of are all of the highlight reels and movies and the way that people romanticize the drinking, partying lifestyle of Vegas. I'm okay with going to Vegas. I'm cool with that. I actually think we could probably do something even cooler. I like that idea. I'm going to see if I can posit another one to you. I'm going to think about it off of the pod. And then we'll go back and forth between the two and see where we want to end up before flying home.
And I'll tell you, I like that idea. And I'll tell you, when I'm thinking Vegas, I'm strictly thinking there's some shows and like events that I think that would be really fun for us to go experience. So I don't want to do Vegas in the sense of like gambling and drinking.
Yeah.
But if you have something better, I have balloons around me right now. What? What was that? What the fuck? What?
That was amazing. I don't know what that was.
Do it
that
again.
was so cool.
Okay.
Just random balloons coming up around your screen. Wow.
If you have a better idea.
Congrats, Odie. Congrats.
I'm not sold on Vegas either. It was just an idea.
Okay.
But I'm down for
I like
anything.
that idea. I feel like we should look up like what's going on in a couple different places around the country around the time that we're doing
like
that.
Omaha.
And then I mean, yeah, like even if we went to Omaha and there's just like some random ass shit going on, like if
Honestly,
I'm fine with Nebraska. I mean, screw it.
I'm down for random shit.
Like, dude, I'm cool with whatever. You know me. Like, I'm a genuinely curious and positive, optimistic person. So like, you can drop me into almost any city in the U.S. and I'm either gonna have a great time or get shot. Yeah. Like, and if it's somewhere where I would have gotten shot for being positive and optimistic, I probably would have gotten shot anyway. So like. That's just the reality of it. So I'm just gonna be positive and optimistic all the way up to it.
You just reminded me of one of our taxi drivers.
Yeah.
When we were driving to the Gordon Ramsay restaurant, we took cabs everywhere. And one of our taxi drivers, he was from Texas, and he was talking to us about the crime in Vegas. And he was like, "That would never happen in Texas because we'd just shoot your ass."
That crime would never happen because we'd beat it with another crime of our own.
We would double jeopardy.
Do you realize you just said that you'd beat somebody to crime? Like
basically. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's dude. Okay, well yeah. So I'm definitely down for that. The Spirit trip. I think the fun part about the Spirit trip is it'll be you and I. When you did your Frontier flights, it was kind of just you.
No.
And I can see where like maybe it felt like a little bit like taxing and tiring and kind of like boring at some points,
lot.
You know?
It definitely was boring at points.
You definitely need like a partner in crime for those kinds of things.
Yeah, and we have two cameras that we can both use.
Oh, hell yeah. So, you know, one thing that I keep thinking about, and it keeps like kind of blowing my mind just like over and over. It's like, you know, I lived in California for a year. I was growing weed, right? You're the social media manager and marketing manager for a cannabis company. There's a cannabis convention in Las Vegas. There's like I'm spending a lot of time with Matt Waddell, a good friend of ours, right? Who's running Runners High Cannabis, right? Like he's gearing THC toward athletes, and I would say I'm athletic, you know, I compete in athletic things, and I'm engaging in THC usage too. Like it's just so it's actually, I tell people now, like, I'm Cali sober, which is, like, the term for when you still, like, you'll have cannabis, right? But you won't do anything else. So, like, I tell people, like, I'm Cali sober. I have a little pen in my dresser because, you know, full disclosure, like, I'm moving into a new space. My entire, like, routine is completely out of whack. So, like, in order to adjust and, like, help myself relax and get to sleep at night, I've been taking a couple hits off this pen, and like it's been perfect, like just one or two, like nothing crazy, but then just laying down and allowing it to like take effect, and like it makes me not drowsy, but it definitely eases me, it calms me a little bit, and I much prefer that over taking any OTC medicine, you know? Like I definitely never want to take any medicine to go to sleep. I'd rather just like if I'm gonna have a tiny bit of cannabis or THC and like try to go to sleep and it's still not working, I don't think I'm meant to go to sleep.
That's a fair point.
That's just how that's going. But yeah, so like I think about this a lot. Like there's so many people who are probably in like their 50s and their 60s that spent their entire like lives like hiding their cannabis usage, you know? And now these like, you know, our generation, the generation beneath us, we're all reaping the benefits of like, you know, progressive cannabis culture. And it's just really funny to me that like there's all these, like my grandfather was one of those people, like he was growing weed and selling weed, right? And this was at a time where like highly illegal, like it was just straight up jail time. And like I think about that and I'm like, wow, is he proud, or does he feel like you know how sometimes people are like, I was born in the wrong generation? I feel like there's a lot of like stoners that are like, I was born in the wrong generation.
absolutely.
I was born too soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Or the way that I would phrase it, because I'm an optimist, is I would be like, or you were just ahead of your time. That's it. We'll flip the script on you.
A little positive spin.
Yeah. But like, but I think about that a lot. I'm like, man, that must be frustrating for some people to just see like, 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids like walking around like, just smoking weed like in the open, like just it's fine. We're good. No one's gonna bust us.
Yeah. Funny enough, one of the clips that I put up on the TikTok for Bonanza was of the first marketing event. I was like, hey, like if you want to, like I've never been to one of these, so like come along with me and let's see like what this is like. And one of the comments was, how come nobody is smoking weed? And it was like, yeah, how come nobody is smoking weed at a cannabis marketing event?
Well, it's because you know you're in business mode.
Well,
like,
honestly, funny enough,
I think that's like an unspoken faux pas. I think people get the wrong impression of the cannabis industry.
Absolutely.
And there are a lot of people who enter it and they're like, now I can just smoke weed all day, every day. But it's like, no, it's still a drug. It still inhibits you to some level or another. Like you have to know when. Like, there's appropriate times for everything.
And funny enough, the two brothers that run Bonanza, they don't really do it much at all. Like a lot of people actually that I've met at these conventions and stuff are like, oh, we don't smoke.
Yeah.
You know, we did.
Well, that's like the coffee industry, right?
Yeah, but like
there's so many roasters that don't drink a ton of coffee. Like,
and it makes
like,
sense.
Oh, you must drink so much coffee. And it's like, no, I drink less coffee now.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it makes sense because like I smoke for like anxiety and pain purposes primarily.
Yeah.
But it kind of
medicinal.
It kind of makes sense that like at the end of the day, it's a business, right? Like, I mean, how much of, the people that own restaurants are eating, well, they're probably eating their food every day. Let's be honest. I mean, it's free. But you know what I mean?
Meal,
like,
baby.
But like, you know what I mean? Like if you're a bartender, you're not drinking beer while you're bartending because then you can't, like what you said, you can't do your job if you're smoking weed.
Yeah.
You know, it's a drug.
Well, that's the other thing, and you kind of just touched on it because I know a lot of people who are like higher end restaurant owners, and they'll actually order the cheaper items on their menu because it's not free. You still had to pay for it.
Ah, that's true.
Right?
True. Yeah.
You're still paying the staff who's cooking it. You're still paying for the bulk items when they come in, right? That shipment you paid for, so you're cutting into your profit. So really, at the end of the day, the food that you eat is actually worth as much as it would have been sold to another table. But people who don't work in that industry don't think about that. They're like, oh, you get free food? It's like, no, it's not fucking free. Like, I just lost profit on eating this lobster, like,
this
could have been $60. Instead, it's nothing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny because like not everybody in the industry does it. And you mentioned the whole, like it used to be illegal. One of the owners, he's a little bit older. I think he's probably like
60s.
50s, 60s. Like I'm not very good at judging that, so I would say somewhere between the 50s and 60s range. And even he was like, yeah, like when I was younger, it was illegal, and now I'm I'm an investor, an owner, and it's like, wow, it's kind of funny that he comes around like that. But
it's pretty awesome. I can't believe that, like 20 years from now, I'm going to be able to do that with crack. I think.
Oh, dude,
it'll
you and I,
be really great.
I can't wait.
Just invest in the crack
Let's
industry.
Do it. I'm down. The Unpop Crack Podcast.
This is pineapple crack. This is mango crack.
This is eat your face off crack.
Don't touch that stuff. You don't want too much of that stuff.
Crack.
Unless
that's the whole name of it. Don't touch that stuff over there. That's the name of the strain.
Can't touch this crack company, LLC. Yeah. Well, dude, that's awesome. I'm really glad that you got to, one, have that experience in Vegas, two, have that experience in the cannabis industry. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The only bigger meeting that I ever went to for cannabis was it was being put on by a law firm that specializes in cannabis representation in New York, and they were prepping some of the people who were getting their licenses at the time for the future of the cannabis industry. I ended up meeting one of their legal experts. I believe her name is Sierra, and we kind of like hit it off, and we were chatting about like how it's developed for them in the industry. And then it turned out her significant other works in finance, so like we got off onto that conversation. And she actually she has this really cool idea to do a you know how there's like the Relay for Life for
yeah.
like cancer.
Yeah.
She wants to do something similar, but cannabis industry related, and to help raise money to get people out of prison who've been convicted on lesser cannabis crimes and are still being held in there, which I thought was really cool because I think progressive law reform and prison abolishment kind of go hand in hand, and I have no problem saying like I'm definitely I'm a prison abolitionist. I actually do think that like prisons don't do that; they do more harm for society than good. Right? They become pressure cookers they become pressure cookers for negative mental states, behavioral issues.
You're more likely to join a gang, get in more trouble, group mentality. There's a lot.
Well, that's what I mean as like a pressure cooker for negative issues.
Yeah.
Is they're just a completely unhealthy environment, and I feel like that in itself is it's teetering on the word inhumane already. Because you're not regarding those people as your fellow humans anymore. They're just inmate whatever, right? They become inmate the number. They're not.
Yeah.
You
lose your
identity. Not their full name. Yeah. But yeah, so like she was talking about doing some stuff that was around that realm, and I thought that was a really great idea. I think a lot of the people who are getting into the cannabis industry now, it's very similar to the people who were progressive that were working in like the alcohol industry back post prohibition. Like I think the people who are trying to be progressive in any sort of sense tend to see a more broader scope of society. So
I think so. Cool. And I'm glad you mentioned the word progressive because that's why I truly believe, and I'm not one that would like ever say this about myself, but I fully believe that having somebody like me as a social media director for a cannabis company is a perfect fit, because your target audience are people that smoke cannabis, which statistically speaking are more progressive, left-leaning people.
Yes.
And not only am I a progressive, I guess I would consider myself left-leaning. I mean, at the end of the day, I hate politics in general, but I care more about people. But I think that like there's a lot of people in the LGBTQ industry, like, that smoke. Got that. There's a lot of people in minority groups that smoke. I'm not that, but I mean, these are all statistically people that are more progressive. So knowing exactly like what to hit on those things, like, we went to a drag brunch. That's a target audience that you're going to want, like the people that go to those kinds of things. So it all just kind of is a full circle. And also, funny enough, we're probably going to be in New York here soon, maybe like by the end of next year. So I'll be making some trips out there. So
that'll be good.
Heads up.
Yeah, it's funny that we don't have to get into this, but I actually am starting to kind of like take a little bit of a stance against the phrase "I don't like politics," because that's the only way that you can run any mass group of people is by politic, right? The literal science of politic is what governs bodies of people. And I have to tell you, I've seen a lot of people, and I know that a lot of them do need to be governed. Like and by need to be governed, I mean they are not the type. Like, have you ever done a group project, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How many people jump on the idea of leading the group project?
Well, okay.
But no. I'm not criticizing where you're going. Let me expound upon this a little bit, right?
Okay.
How many people jump on that?
I mean, everybody wants to be the leader, right?
Nobody wants to be the leader in the goddamn group project. You know this. And so at least I'm the type of person that, like, if nobody signs up for it within like the first minute of a group project, I'm like, all right, well, we have to get this done, so I'm just going to do it, right? So I do like that people make decisions, and I like that we make decisions for other people who don't have time in their day or don't want to make decisions, because, like, cool, if you don't want to, then don't. That's fine. But ultimately, one thing that's been coming up more and more is I'm finding that both sides of the political spectrum, because I would view myself, depending on the issue, I either lean as like a moderate left with progressive leanings, or a moderate right with progressive leanings, depending on the issue. And it would turn out that as it comes into like economic, I'm leaning a little more right, and when it comes to social, I lean a little bit more left, which puts me in this middle ground, and it kind of paints a picture. I've realized for a long time I didn't know how to process it, maybe because I wasn't around the right people, but now that I'm around people more often who are paying attention to these issues, now that I have I would say a very like rainbow colored pool of friends from various, political backgrounds, social backgrounds, stuff like that. Now that I'm around that, I'm kind of realizing I'm not actually a contrarian. It's just that I attempt to critically analyze even when I think that the position that I'm taking is the quote unquote correct one. I tend to analyze and go, okay, but what's the backlash of that? What is the negative of the position that I'm taking? Because there are always cons, right? It's not just pros, no matter what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Even when you're being progressive, you have to think ahead and go, okay, all right, what is the con of this? And you and I have talked about it before, and with progressive things like that, the con is that some companies will then only hire people to make themselves appear a certain way. Like I like that you're hired for your company, but I would hope that other companies don't feign progressivism.
Don't just hire for that. Hire someone that's good for the job.
And I want to be specific. The problem is not that they have to hire people who are different, who are non-binary or not representative of what you would assume to be the stereotype main culture that exists in that space, but more so that certain people, when it comes to making those decisions, will feign progressivism. They will fake it, right? And they'll hire like someone that they actually resent on their staff and not treat them correctly because of that. And that to me is like I tend to pay attention to that. I'm like, all right, cool. We're being progressive, but are we being good about it?
Yeah.
Are we on the right path, guys?
So, I think when I say I don't like politics, what I personally mean is I don't like the state of American politics. I don't like that the news is.
Oh, you don't.
I don't like that the news is.
You don't like the bipartisan Super Bowl politics style that we have.
And I know we don't get super political, but I'm just gonna say this here and now. But I don't like the fact that when I look at my Apple News, which I like to do because sometimes there's some interesting articles, but lately it's just been George Santos expelled, only the third time ever since the Civil War. Trump's says threatening this against Judge Life, or this person in the chamber said this, or House Speaker this, or Biden farted and passed out and went to the hospital because he's so old. And it's like, can we just focus on what matters? Literally, there's a and this is where I was going with this. On TikTok, I found there's a North Carolina Democratic senator. Yeah. I don't know if he's in the House. I don't know where, he's a senator. I don't know if he's in the House or the actual, Senate, right? But he has been very open and transparent on TikTok about, what's going on. And I saw a TikTok from him the other day, and he was like, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. This entire year, all we have done is avoided 2 shutdowns. We have not passed any bills that have helped anybody. We have not done anything that has been in any way a step forward. He was like, at the end of the day, we have either stayed where we're at or gone back. He's like, all we have done is get rid of people in the House and the Senate for no reason, try to come up with little coups, stay in our cliques, and get mad when other people don't like our ideas. And he was like, nothing is getting done. And turns out there was a group that was trying to get him out. I think he's in the House. They were trying to get him out of the House because he's on TikTok being open and transparent, which is something that people don't like.
They don't want that.
And at the end of the day, look, no matter who's mad at who, that guy could have been a Republican saying that. He could have been a Democrat saying that. The point of the matter is, why aren't there more people like that? Why aren't all of our House speakers and senators on social media and just being like, listen, let's just what I'm getting at here is I wish that everybody that was in politics were good people and actually cared about the people they were representing.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
I mean,
that would be really nice.
Yeah, I wish that too. I think a really big lesson on just politic in general for me was buried in Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
So there's the guy who exists in his own little bubble off in the universe, right?
Yeah.
Who runs all of the universe, and it's because he was the guy who least desired to run it, so nobody's allowed to tell him that he's actually making decisions that run the universe. They just go out and they ask him questions.
I love that.
And he answers them, and it's because he didn't want power that he was actually the most eligible candidate to have the most power in the universe.
But that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. But then, like, when you bring it back into the real world, you actually do have to desire to make change in order to make change. But, like, I love that hypothetical example. I love the picture that paints of, like, oh, yeah, well, you have to start from a good position where your intention is to just make the right choice, right?
Yeah.
Rather than to make the right choice as it pertains to XYZ bias that you've been holding your entire life. You have to look at the objective facts a little better. You have to critically analyze a little more.
I agree.
And all of that is just to say, what's your jam this week?
I love it.
Thank you.
Wow, what was my jam this week? I gotta be honest. I didn't. Okay, yeah, no, okay. I started a new show on the plane.
Was your jam the most listened to artist in the entire world, Taylor Swift?
I'm gonna tell you right now. The music that played on the strip where I was strictly like mid 2000s, 1990s country music.
Gross.
Yeah, and the.
That's so gross.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Go on. What's even more gross, Kevin, is the fact that I knew every fucking word to every fucking song.
That's because
the watermelon crawl.
Country boy.
Shoot myself. So my jam, I'm gonna say, because I didn't listen to a lot of music, I didn't do a lot except for Vegas. So my jam is the show that I started on the airplane, another Apple TV show.
Which one?
Called Slow Horses. About MI5.
I watched the first episode of that.
Me too.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. Yeah, like
Jonathan Pierce.
You can't do an Apple TV show with Gary Oldman, and I think there's no way that could have been bad. Yeah, it's so good.
I hate his character.
Oh well, yeah, he's definitely a douche.
But
for sure.
I liked it. I think that in terms of shows, I like the writing a lot better than the Monarch show, but I still like the Monarch show just because I like this. I like the world. But the last episode, I'm like, all right, guys, we got to step this up.
I realized what was going on with the Monarch show. Actually, do you have enough time to do another short one? Can we just like talk like pop culture for like 20-30 minutes?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. All right, I'll talk to you about the Monarch show on the next episode, which we're going to record right now. Yeah, Slow Horses was good. I liked the first episode of that. I actually do you have like a music jam or anything, or can I jump?
That's literally all I have right now.
Your music jam is mid 2000s country music,
unfortunately.
And by mid we mean it's 2000s country music that is mid.
It's Odie's. it's what's not my jam. My famous segment. Yeah. What's not my jam is mid 2000s 1990s country music.
Mid 2000s country music. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's all I got is Slow Horses this week.
All right, cool. I finished up Loki season 2.
Oh,
absolutely amazing.
I need to do that.
I felt more fulfilled watching the ending of that show than I did watching the ending of Endgame. Like
I'm gonna finish.
I was like, wow,
I'm gonna finish.
This is amazing. Yeah, it's so good.
You convinced me.
And like, it's the best that they've ever done handling a multiverse in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion. Like I'm watching this. And I'm like, wow, they're doing a very good job of just handling how this is functioning. And they didn't introduce too many rules. They didn't over-explain it, right? And they didn't under-explain it. So I wasn't confused. I knew what was going on. In the couple moments where there was a little bit of mystery to it, you're not supposed to know. You're supposed to figure it out as the show goes on, right? And they did a good job of showing, not telling. And then at the end, I just felt very satisfied, especially as someone who's been watching the Marvel movies since the beginning, right? There are certain things that I feel like I need to watch to like wrap up storylines and stuff. And this was the last season of Loki, right? There's only 2 seasons. And I was like, oh, this is a really good wrap up to this storyline. And that's all I'll say on that because you haven't watched it yet. So
I've only watched the first episode. So maybe
of the entire series?
No, of season 2. So my thing
was like, what?
So Marvel, I'll say this real, like the last thing that I watched all the way through was She-Hulk, and that was when I was kind of like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I'm out. And then we watched Ant-Man 3 in theaters, and I was like, I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. No more. I was not impressed. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Guardians 3. I haven't seen Eternals. I haven't seen Marvel. I haven't seen any of the new ones that have come out, but Loki was a show that I thought the first season was incredible. I thought it was the best Marvel TV show that they've produced. And
I agree.
so I started the first episode of the second season, but then I was like, ugh, like this is more than likely going to lead into something else. And I was like, I just don't want to do that. But now that I know definitively that it doesn't really have to lead into anything else, that it can be an ending, I'm going to finish it.
It's an ending, like, I'll put it this way, like, it's very akin to Captain America, Iron Man. Like, I'm like, he might still pop up somewhere, but this is kind of where this character settles.
And don't get me wrong, there are Marvel movies that I do want to see that are coming out. Like, I'm a big fan of the Fantastic Four. I do want to see that when it comes out. I like Blade, and I like Marshala Ali. So, like, I probably will see Blade when it comes out on streaming.
I seriously hope that this Fantastic Four is finally good.
Me too.
But my other jam this week, because I remembered, because Spotify Wrapped came out, and I was looking at. Did you see your Wrapped for the
I don't
year?
have Spotify. I have YouTube Music, but we do a wrap on YouTube Music.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. YouTube Music does a wrap too. And they tell you like what you watched on Vivo and what you listened to. So Spotify Wrapped came out, and my number 2 artist, again, number 1 or number 2 every single year for me is an artist from another country. Like,
really?
It's just always, yes. And this year it was Nina Chuba. She's from Germany. She's amazing. Like, and what's cool on Spotify is like some of the artists, and especially some of the European artists, they lean into sending little thank you videos to their fans, right? So like, I'm like watching my Wrapped, and then all of a sudden, like, just this video of Nina Chuba speaking in German just pops up on my phone. I'm like, I have no idea what she's saying, but I'm glad that I was a fan this year. Like,
dude, I love the fact that you have introduced me to so many bands that like Thumpasaurus. Like, we still listen to.
Dude,
I'm pissed.
They're blowing up right now.
Love it.
Thumpasaurus was on Jimmy Fallon. I think like these past like 2 weeks ago or something.
Do you want my
and
top 5?
I was like, no way, that's so cool. Yeah, and they're a cool band. Like, you can tell they're just making music that makes them happy.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. So that's my jam was Nina Chuba though. She's dope.
Do you have your top 5 from your Spotify? Like, who your top 5 artists were?
I can tell you off the top of my head because I looked at it, and it actually kind of like threw me off because it was like your most listened to genre was rap, and then it was like your top 5 artists are Sleep Token, Nina Chuba, Daniel Caesar, Dance Gavin Dance. Like, I was like, none of these are rap. Like,
that's awesome.
What is
mine?
I forget who the 5th was, but it was but those were 4 of them in the top 5. Oh, Closure in Moscow, which is insane because their new album came out in October, which means I listened to more Closure in Moscow in October through November than I listened to like at least 70 other artists this year, you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that. Mine, honestly, I could have probably guessed that these would have been my top 5, but it was number 5 was Ghost. Number 4,
makes sense.
Number 4 was Bleachers, which I did listen to them a lot.
Makes sense.
Lot this year. Number 3 was
recommended them a lot.
Number 3 was Post Malone.
Okay, perfect. Makes sense.
Number 2 was Bad Omens.
And number 1 was Noah Khan.
Not only was number 1 Noah Khan, I was in the 0.1% of Noah Khan listeners. I listened to him 107 times more as the average listener.
Wow. So Noah Khan and Taylor Swift were all over a ton of people's top 5 this year, which I think that's amazing. I actually didn't even know who Noah Khan was until you started talking to me about him. And then I was like, oh, this guy's huge. I've been under a rock.
I have loved him for 5 years, and I still think that the Busy Head album is his best.
Dude,
Truly.
I've had no idea who he is for 5 years.
Like, that's awesome. I love that people are finding him out. I honestly, like, we talked about, real quick, I'm going to wrap it with this. Perfect way to wrap this episode. We talked about
wrap it up.
We talked about gatekeeping last season.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I told myself I would never, ever do after we did that episode was to gatekeep anything that I liked before it got big. Noah Khan blew up. And honestly, my first instinct was only to be like, holy shit, I'm so happy for him. Like, this is incredible. Like,
oh, good.
He got to play SNL, which was his dream. He had a tweet from like 2019 about playing on SNL. He's doing duets with like people like Hozier and fucking Post Malone and Casey Musgraves. And all I can think about is, I hope everybody fucking listens to him.
Yeah, and I really I like his approach to his music. He's got like, a lot of the vibe. Like I obviously in my mind I'm comparing it to things that I've heard before that I've enjoyed. So like there's some songs have like a very Fleet Foxes vibe, and that like especially with the way that he structures the vocals in his chorus, like with like there's almost like a wall of his voice, hitting different harmonies, right, to match up the melody. And like that's very Fleet Foxes, like, and especially some of the chords that he hits with those. But I've really enjoyed listening to him. I was really happy that you showed me Noah Khan, and then I've now shown Noah Khan to, because I'm the type of person who, if I feel like someone might like something, I'll just recommend it, right? So I've shown it to a couple of people who have now shared with me that he was on their top 5. He didn't make my top 5, but I definitely recommended him.
I've shared him with so many people, so I fucking love that. He deserves it.
Sleep Token being my number 1 was not a surprise at all. Like,
I thought Bad Omens would be
like,
number
wow,
1 for me. I thought it'd be switched,
yeah?
But I guess I've listened to Noah like fucking 24/7, so
yeah,
I'm not surprised.
I think next year is going to be more like a typical year for me. Like I feel like next year it's going to be like weird metal band like at number 1 that released just some crazy. I honestly thought the Dolly Thunder and Concept was going to be number 1 for me this year. I'm like, there's no way I listened to anything more than this album.
I know.
But apparently I did.
Next year my top 3 will be the same, but I know that number 4 will probably be Greta Van Fleet, and number 5 might be Lil Wayne next year.
Okay,
I'm fucking with him still a lot.
I could see that. That's interesting. That's good.
Predictions.
Yeah, you're fucking with Lil Wayne. Predictions for next year's listening. I love that we've touched on so many like topics as we're just like rolling through
I know.
That's good. What give me at the end of this, give me a prediction of something that is not likely to happen in 2024. Go ahead. Hit me with your prediction. Give me a Nostradamus like prediction for 2024 that is not likely to happen.
What's not likely to happen? Okay.
Yeah, take your time. Think about it. Take a little bit. I predict
a beloved celebrity.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait, you said what's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, you go.
Oh, you can give me one that you think is going to happen.
I think
too.
a beloved celebrity that everybody has cherished for a long time, something really shitty is going to come out about them, and I can't wait because it's probably going to be somebody that I called.
I mean, that'll definitely happen.
Yeah.
That's like guaranteed at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know this.
What definitely won't happen? It's a good question. Oh. No, go. If you got yours, go for it.
My prediction for what won't happen is everybody will move back to a simpler, more centralized form of social media, and that misinformation will be mitigated.
Oh, I know.
That was my prediction for what won't happen.
I know what won't happen, but it should happen.
What?
Twitter won't get closed down next year, even though it definitely fucking should. Or X.
You mean
or
X?
Yeah.
You mean X?
It should, but it won't.
It should definitely get shut down.
But it won't.
Oh, yeah, because it's an election year.
Yeah, and it's...
Oh,
dude,
damn,
I mean,
yeah. Ugh.
I hate X so much. But anyways.
All right, let's wrap it up. Elon Musk, go suck it.
Piece of shit.
That's it for that.